ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to my mom and my sister-in-law, Christina, which is on Friday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mama Rose. Happy Wednesday. Weird. Wednesday roundtable for you all here today. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for celebrating. It's not only George Washington's birthday, y'all. Rose Bannon's birthday. Hi, everybody. Yes. Happy birthday, Mrs. Rose. Happy birthday, Mama Rose. Yes, she's just like Gypsy Lee Rose's mother. No, she's not. She's not a stage mom at all. Hi, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's talk about my mom for a minute and embarrass her because she hates it, which you should do. So while we were celebrating her, I just wanted to look at this throwback picture. Oh, my Lord. Yes, that is little Sean Bannon. That is little Robert Bannon. That's Rose, my mother, and my grandmother, Verge, who is watching in Fort Lee, New Jersey right now. Where does the time go? We'll talk all about it. Are you ready? Should we get started? Let's just jump right into it. Here's the weekend review. Well, we celebrated my mother's birthday. You know, that's what we did on Sunday. The dogs are barking. We're living. My mom made her own cupcakes because that's how she is. And we had a happy birthday for her and happy birthday for Christina. If you know my brother, there's Sean. There's my mom. And there's my sister-in-law, Christina. And we went to their house and we had a great time. And yeah, my grandmother came. Hi, Grandma. My grandmother came. There's Paul. And we all celebrated together, and it's nice to just be with my family. My mom is years old, and my grandmother is years old, and I'm 22. Yeah, you know, that's the truth. So happy birthday to my mom. Pisces season is upon us all, and oh, close. She's not actually. My mom keeps it right. She's not 65, but close. She's older. She doesn't look she looks like she's turning 40. And you see her at work running up and down the stairs and exercising and keeping herself together. So yeah, happy birthday to my mom. I hope she had a great day. We have a lot to promote. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm sorry. I don't mean to. Yeah. 'Cause I'm shameless. You know, I don't like to sit still for very long. I don't we're going to guess her age. I'll tell you how she was born in 57. So take out a calculator and let's go to work. Thank you very much. Oh, you know what else happened over this weekend? I went on a date. I'm not giving you more details, but I went on a date. The scandal of it all. Mind your business, everyone. So, look at you all. See, I feel like Oprah. Oprah said people would see her in the street and they'd say, like, I know you because you come into my house every day. And I'm so honored to share all of this with you, all of my mess. Love you too, Mom. Details. That's what I get when I open my mouth. That's why I'm going to have to. So anyway, as I'm blushing, I would like to say that the Broadway lecture series is up and out, and also the live podcast taping is up and out. So if you want to come join me and Alexander Rodriguez and I are going to do Roundtable on the Rocks at Green Room 42. It's March 1st at 9:30 Eastern. You can get a virtual ticket or you could come to New York City. Charles Bush, who is a Tony-nominated playwright and a drag legend, is going to be our guest, as well as Michael Musto, who's been a New York nightclub legend who used to hang out and party with Madonna. They're both going to sing. Michael Musto's going to sing Sammy Davis Jr. And we're going to have a really great time. So if it's a Wednesday and you're free and you want to come down or you want to watch the show virtually, it's the first time we're doing this, and we'll see if it happens and if it goes well. I'm nervous and excited, and it's exciting. So keep your eye out for that. And then the Broadway lecture series is up and out. I know Marie got her tickets, and I'm proud to announce here that Jelani Remy of The Lion King Jennifer Holliday, Tony Grammy-winning superstar of Dreamgirls, Carrie Butler of Beetlejuice and Xanadu and a Tony nominee, and then Elphaba herself and star of Rent, Eden Espinosa will all be joining me March, April, May, and June. One a month, Stageworks. If you want information and you want to get your tickets, go to BroadwayLectureSeries.com. You can meet them. You can hear me interview them. And you could ask your questions. Marie, get your question ready for Jennifer Holliday because it's going to be something special that I can promise you for sure. Yes, thank you for the virtual tickets. Virtual tickets. I interviewed with Alex yesterday, and it was a hard interview. I told him that today. Here we are on the Rocks show podcast, which is based out of LA. It was me, Alexander Rodriguez, who hosts the show, and then Larry Owens, who is now on Abbott Elementary. Me and Larry did The Music Man in Sharon, Connecticut together. It was my first union job. And then now Larry's a big deal, sold out Carnegie Hall, does television, does movies. And we had a really great talk, but I didn't realize Alexander was political and asked me questions about school and teaching and my safety and the school safety. I had to put on my political science hat. I had to but I keep it real because the truth is the truth. And I really appreciated being on, and I haven't seen Larry in a long time. So it was really great to see them. So you can check that out. That's streaming on YouTube. We put up so much going on. I'm sorry. New show on Tuesday. The Roundtable Talks was with Bezad Dabu. He is an acting teacher. He's an acting coach, and he's a co-star of How to Get Away with Murder for 3 years. He's done a lot of television shows, The Shy, and oh man, a ton. So we nerd out and talk about acting. So if you're an actor or want to be an actor, he's given The Secrets to the Kingdom. It's on YouTube. It's the bonus series. And then since we had so many people who wanted to talk to us, we have a new one coming up tonight at midnight. Yes, Grammy-winning, Oscar-nominated producer Damon Elliott is here. Yes, he's the son of Dionne Warwick. Yes, he's nominated for an Oscar this year with Diane Warren. And yes, he just won his second Grammy. And he's worked with everyone from Britney Spears to Beyonce to Dolly Parton, and he's telling us all about it. And then we have the co-writer of I Love My Family But, Lauren Gundrum, and we talk about the virtual theater festival at Abington Theater Company. So if you want to talk to me, we get it in. Even if it's an extra day, we add an extra show. I give up a lunch. I give up a moment because I'm so honored that this platform is something that you would choose to be on. It means a lot to me. And I'm so grateful that that people would come on and think we have a worthwhile conversation. And today we definitely have worthwhile conversation because we have some really special guests on the show for sure. How about some Jersey tea, will you? So yes, I have a little bit of a history with the Housewives of New Jersey. I've been lucky to be on a couple of seasons and friends with my Margaret and my Jackie and my Dolores. Well, there's a new friend on the show, and her name is Rachel Fuda. And even though she's way younger than me, she's even younger than my brother. Rachel Fuda went to the same high school as me. She reached out, Bravo reached out, and next week, Rachel Fuda joins us. She does not do a lot of interviews. She does not talk to a lot of people, but she will be here. And we will get the full scoop of how she went from going to Richfield Park High School to joining the cast as a housewife of the Housewives of New Jersey. I'm just fascinated. Marie's from Richfield Park. Did you know this? Fascinating. Yes, she's gorgeous. And it is a week of the Roundtable. And I can promise you I did not go out on a date with John Travolta, but that is the funniest. I'm not outing John Travolta. I think he's done a good job of that himself. So that's funny. Now, moving on to our Hey Friend. I'll be there for you. How you doing? Well, speaking of how you doing, hi, John Travolta. Hey, friend, hey, I just want to give a shout out. If you want to, tomorrow's, I'm not able to do the show here with you live because I'm going to a function. It's a psychic medium party that's going out for Richfield. And I'm really excited that tomorrow night for Richfield School System, which is where my goddaughter goes to school, my cousin is running this fundraiser, and I want to be there and support and help and contribute to help the kids. So if you want to know the future, if you want to know what's going on, DM me, send me a message if you want to come. If you're in the Jersey area, there's still tickets available. Let me know and we'll get you inside to be able to know what the future holds, and then also maybe, help the kids of Richfield school system. So even if you're not into it and you want to help a good cause, my mom will be there. My mom will be there. And that's hysterical, Marie. I guess I did. But he'll be okay. and I'm excited that we're going to be all a part of that together. So if you're interested, let me know. My mom's birthday, she always asks me and tells me, can you please, why don't you ask people if you would like to tip the show, if you want to support our show, you can Venmo me at RBAN. And if you Venmo me at RBAN, and the money that's given to me goes to promote the show, which I would give it to my mom's favorite charity, but I think that's me. So if you send it, what I do with the money is we make sure that we put ads on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to get people to watch the show, so we get new audience, and the more audience we get. Last week's show was seen by over 5,000 people, so that's thanks to the contributions that you give to the show. Every penny of it goes to supporting and sponsoring the show on different channels, so we get a bigger audience. The more audience, the more people that come on the show. So there you go. This show is called The Future because not only do I believe the children are the future and teach them well and let them lead the way, but the future is now. And in this world, I was saying in the pre-show, which is a party on Instagram every day, the half hour before we're live, that in this world where there's anti-Semitism in the middle of Times Square, where they're burning pride flags in the middle of New York City, this microcosm and the worlds we live in, this artistic community if we live in a metropolitan area like LA, Chicago, Detroit, Miami, Washington, D.C., Boston, New York, New Jersey, that we don't know, we think these things only happen somewhere else. So I think the only way to add awareness is to know what's going on. So we have two amazing non-binary performers. One of them is the star of Some Like It Hot on Broadway. J Harrison Ghee is here. And then Maxfield Haynes is the first non-binary principal ballerina to dance for the Metropolitan Ballet, did the magic flute. So gorgeous. The pictures are gorgeous. Their form is gorgeous. The style is gorgeous. I'm just moved by both of them, and I'm so proud of this show. And then to talk about the future, Derrick Jakolby Washington is here to talk about 2 books he wrote that will really touch your heart. So I'm so grateful to have this platform to be able to share this information with you, and I want to get right to it. Are you ready to get started? Are we ready? Let me tell you, in June, this next performer is not returning my call because this next performer is about to win a Tony. J Harrison Ghee is here. Take a look. We've had the pleasure to talk about this show. We're talking about Some Like It Hot today, and we've had we've had Mark Shaman here, we've had Kevin here, we've had Ashley here, but I am beyond excited because when you go see this show and all of the shows that Jay has done, that the only thing taller than Jay may be his talent. Jay, welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Before we get started to talk about you and this journey, I saw the show. I don't know how you're standing. You are busting your faces off up there 8 shows a week, dancing yourself silly. Congratulations. It's such a beautiful night out.
Thank you. It's an exhilarating experience. It's definitely a ride.
It looks like a ride, and I asked Ashley, who's the dance captain of the show, about the tapping and learning the tapping. Was it an intimidating thing to have Casey Nicola be a choreographer and director, and then show some of this choreography? Wait till you see the hoofing themselves across the stage, back and forth every single night.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. It was something Christian and I say to each other every night. We're like 1 foot in front of the other. That's all we can do. We can't get ahead of it. We can't overthink it. And the show doesn't give us time to think. We really do just have to enjoy the ride.
Well, it is some special ride, everybody. So if you want to grab your tickets while we're here, just go to someLikeItHotmusical.com. But where we begin your story, you're from Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And you grew up musical. I mean, I read, if I did my research right, you were playing cello, you were playing bass, you were playing trombone. There was something in you that always knew that there was this artist living inside.
Yeah, for sure. I grew up singing in church. I can vividly remember singing one of my first solos in church at age 5 and seeing how the congregation responded and being able to move people and being like, oh, there's something here. But it wasn't until high school when I decided to pursue it as what I wanted to do with my life.
And you went to AMDA, which we've talked to a lot of people who have gone to AMDA here. And so if you're an actor or a singer or a musician, AMDA is one of the schools that are in New York City that's legendary for what they produce. Was it a tough decision to leave North Carolina and come to New York City? Was it, you were ready, you were like, I'm out?
We took a family trip to New York when I was 5 years old. And I every year would ask, when are we going back? When are we going back? And we never did. And then when deciding where to go, I was like, well, if I want to do entertainment and theater, if I'm singing and dancing, New York's the place to be. So I've always been a person who like walks by faith, and I was like, all right, I'm making this leap. Here we go. And truly never looked back.
And the rest is really history. And when, besides your Broadway credits, you've paid your dues. I mean, if you look at the things you did, I mean, the cruise ships, Tokyo, Disney, like everything that you think of as an up and coming actor or performer, the amusement parks, the cruise ships. Do you think for people, a lot of students watch this little mess of the show, do you think that has helped you as you prepare to be more professional, as it's gone up the ladder to be able to do these experiences?
Oh, for sure. Like Tokyo Disney was my first job, and I was there for 3 consecutive contracts, so almost 2 years. And my friends were always like, you got to come back to New York. You got to be here so your name is in people's mouths. You got to be in the city. And then I did cruise ships and was away for 2.5 years. And they're like, you got to come back. And I'm like, no, I got to sing so much and learn myself as an artist and be stretched. I got to sing rock music, Burt Bacharach music, Broadway, jazz. Like I literally sang the gamut of things and got to really find my voice as an artist. And I'm grateful for that time to grow and to learn. So I definitely don't discredit those experiences as like, oh, throwaway jobs. They were something that really helped me build my repertoire and my understanding of myself.
Yeah, what a journey leads you to these moments that you've had.
Oh,
so also reading and doing some research that your stunt as Lola in Kinky Boots became legendary, revived a show that was already a huge smash, but you came into rave reviews across the board. Is it true that you were auditioning for another show and your audition led you to that part?
Well, I was going into Telsey and Company to be seen for Motown. I had an audition there, and a friend encouraged me to drop off a headshot resume and cover letter with my interest of wanting to be considered for the tour at the time. And I did that, and they proceeded to bring me in, and that started the process of joining, that show. And that show really did change my life.
Yeah, and you never know what can happen when you walk into the room and remember you behind the table and the road that leads. Well, I got to see that performance, and you gave such life to that character, and you're such a vibrant. Your presence is your presence is ginormous. It is just warm, and it's beautiful on stage. And to be able to see you dance and sing and act is something that everyone, you need to go check it out. You need to check it out, whatever Jay's doing. So, speaking of Kinky Boots, speaking of Some Like It Hot, speaking of all of the Miss Doubtfire and Chicago and all the things that you've done, you come from the drag culture as well. That was a part of your journey as well.
Oh, yeah. When I got back to New York from Tokyo, I started doing drag competitions in New York, and I had my own drag show down at New World Stages at the Time Out Lounge, and would co-host shows and events and do parties. Like I was in nightlife in New York City. And I miss it sometimes, and I definitely like it. But again, like those tools helped to build me to where I am and taught me how to be the artist that I am and to how to show up and show out. Like whether there are 2 people in the audience or 20 or 2,000, like you really have to give your all. And I'm very much a person who lives with intention, purpose, and love. Those drag shows, I wanted people to walk away with something, not just that you were entertained, but like there was a message, there was something I wanted you to get from my shows. So I really enjoyed it. And sometimes I would be surprised at how it would land with people. Like we had full therapy sessions in nightclubs sometimes.
I think that the only audience harder than a Broadway audience is probably a queer nightlife audience in New York City.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
If you could turn it out at a club at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night in Hell's Kitchen, then you can take it anywhere, really true.
Yeah.
it's such that culture and learning about that world, and some friends and some other queens that have come on the show. So really, it's not just you put on some makeup and you lip sync. It is a job. It is a grind.
And it again, talk about building your artistry and something that I tried to hide for a long time, of keeping everything separate. I didn't want to be pigeonholed as a drag artist and like that's all I do. But I've come to accept that drag is a part of my ministry. That's how I'm effective in the world. That's how I reach people. That's how I reach hearts and minds and spirits. And so it's definitely something I don't take lightly. And again, approaching it with intention and purpose.
That is the word of this whole thing: intention and purpose, and having that clear. It makes a difference. You talk a little bit about a regional thing that was really fascinating and amazing. The Muni, which everyone, if you're a theater person, there's 5,000 people there to see musical theater. You did Chicago, and here's stunning.
One of my favorite pictures. It's like it didn't feel real until we were doing it. And I'm glad we got a second chance to go back, because COVID shut us down the first time. But going back that second time really gave me an opportunity to just trust myself, to trust the process, and to go all out.
Well, you really preceded all of the amazing casting that they have done at Chicago. If it's Angelica Ross, if it's Jinx Monsoon now, or all of the things that have been done, your production really superseded that, and really that casting and this innovative casting that's done, that should be a no-brainer for everywhere, is really on the back. And Jay, as a legacy, as you move forward, when you see this whole entire industry change due to sexuality, gender, race, it's really going to be on the back of artists who were brave enough to take on roles and to stand up for something that they believed in. So when you saw Some Like It Hot, and when I sat in the audience and said, how are we going to handle this situation? Your character, the heart, that second act of the show, no spoilers, it is so touching, and there's such a moving moment for you personally. And I'm sure at the stage door every single night, have you gotten a lot of feedback where people feel seen and finally accepted and inside of a theater on Broadway in New York City?
Yeah, it means the world to be at the stage door and to see so many queer, beautiful people, and a range of people, not even just queer people, who see and understand. One of my favorite experiences so far in the show is from opening night. Our security guy, Leon, at the stage door was in the audience and was sitting next to a cisgender white man, and that person was with a lady. And after I did my song in Act 2, You Could Have Knocked Me Over with a Feather, he turned to the lady he was with and just said, I need to treat my son better. And that's why I do what I do, to be effective. I don't need a review from the Times. That's great. It's beautiful. I appreciate it. But it's that kind of thing that means the world to me, that somebody leaves the theater a little differently than when they came.
That's the power of art. That's why you're up there breaking your feet 8 shows a week. Because there's that kid out. I remember being 12 years old. I remember going to see Rent. I remember seeing Rent on that stage and never having seen something that I didn't fully understand it, but it resonated with me as a kid from New Jersey, as a queer little boy from New Jersey, seeing characters that were in love with each other and shown in a way that I had never seen. Yeah. There's going to be people that are in that audience of all ages that are going to feel seen, and there's nothing more beautiful. You could sing the beautiful notes and dance the beautiful dances, but that's a legacy that is priceless, truly. And that's all hard work and the cast and crew of the show.
Thank you. And it's an incredible group of humans that I get to work with from every angle. The creative team, the ensemble that we have. It's so, I mean, from the top of the show, people are literally being thrown around. Literally, bodies are flying.
Here is some of the pictures from the show, and picture this gorgeous show with gorgeous music, gorgeous sets and costumes and choreography. That is just, Matthew Lopez is a genius, and Amber Ruffin is a genius, and put them together to build this book with such care. And then you take music by Mark Shaman and Scott. The two of them together are, Broadway
legends,
music legends.
Yeah.
And then your director and choreographer is no slouch either.
Okay. And then if Derrick Barnes is designing a costume, count me in, because the care that is taken with, and from every angle, every everything is just taken with such care. And that's the thing I loved about the process, pre-pandemic and coming out of it, how we've all grown and elevated together. We've all kept the communication and conversations open about everything. And it's been such a beautiful journey to really build and craft this show together.
Well, I know that this show is going to march its way through this year, and I'm sure you're going to have a very busy few couple of months. And I know that if I was a voter, I know who I'd be voting for, because you are, you're transcendent. The journey and the arc that you are able to give and the emotion that you give. I sat pretty close and I was in it. I felt like I was with you the whole entire journey of this show, and I know how exhausting that is to do that 8 shows a week. It's an emotionally taxing journey that you take as your character. So what do you do to take care of yourself? What is the downtime?
Drinking a lot of water. Literally, as we're doing this interview, I'm rolling out my feet just to like keep the body fresh. Doing a lot of soaking of the feet at night, Epsom salt baths, and knowing when to say no. Friends are like, hey, I'm coming. Can we get drinks after? Can we do the things? And I'm like, I love you. Thank you for coming. I need to go home. Yeah. But also making time and making room for the fun in my life. There's got to be balance. I will always live my life and get my job done.
Well, thank you for living it so truthfully and authentically on stage. It means a lot to even this old queen myself. It means a lot to see it, because it's very moving. And in real life, when I'm not doing this, I teach 5th grade in New Jersey. And I've had so many students who have come to me at 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. They come out, they're non-binary. They tell their parents that they're a part of the queer community, and they come out with sad stories or happy stories or troublesome stories. And to be able to point to pieces of art and inspirations and people who are living fearlessly and can be successful and shown in all different ways. Your story is a love story on stage. Your journey personally is one of triumph and inspiration. So thank you, because the work really matters. And there's a lot of people out there who really need it. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
We need to follow J Harrison Ghee on Instagram so you can see what's going on, and make sure you grab your tickets to somelikeithotmusical.com. Go grab your tickets, enjoy a night out, go have a dinner and a drink. It's a good night, and we'll be excited and thrilled for all that's to come. Congratulations, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you for having me. Yeah, get those tickets. Some Like It Hot, and that ain't bad.
That's it. How happy wonton soup. How great is J Harrison Ghee? Go see this show if you are in the New York area, because it is powerful. Did I fan out a little? Yes. Did I talk too much? Yes. Was I wearing a white shirt instead of a black shirt? Yes. But I was really moved. They handle this with such care. It's really something. Balance. Balance was our word, Darius, of the year here on the Roundtable. We're learning to balance. We're learning to balance. And hi, Giselle. How are you, friend? So great. Well, if you think that was moving, Christine, Jay is brilliant. Yeah. What a career. What a kind heart. What an inspirational conversation. What I love is that their love and energy and light and spreading that. So it breaks my heart when people come out with hate and vitriol for people who are just trying to spread some love. Nice to see you, Ritual Park in the house. So we're going to go right now. Speaking of love and changing the narrative and changing the game, I heard the story in the New York Times. I saw clips of the show. Julie Taymor decided to take on the magic flute and do it at Lincoln Center for the Metropolitan Ballet, and cast Maxfield Haynes, who's a non-binary ballerina, the first non-binary principal ballerina for the Metropolitan Opera. And their story and their journey is amazing. And you need to check out Art and Artistry and Following Your Heart and Passion, no matter what people say. This is for you. Take a peek at this. So in the dance world, this next performer has been something that has been blowing up magazine covers, center stage. Friend to the show, Isaac Mizrahi, sent me a message about this next performer, and I think they may be the most beautiful thing that is existing on this planet. Wait till you see form, technique, story, protest, a message. It really moved my heart, and I am so excited that Maxfield Haynes is here to tell us all about it. Maxfield, welcome to the Roundtable.
Hi, thank you so much for
Thanks for
having me. That introduction was crazy. Thank you.
no, it is true. Truly, I mean, with in all due respect, you're for someone who can't dance. I could shuffle off to Buffalo. I got that move down, but I cannot
There
dance.
you go.
Stunning, stunning, stunning. Oh my goodness, you weigh as much as my left thigh. So what? How did it start? How did the idea of this is what I know about you? You're from Kentucky,
Yes.
which seems like Kentucky is where ballet goes to die. How do you find good ballet in Kentucky?
So, as it would turn out, Kentucky has actually produced some of the finest dancers out of the Midwest. The current associate artistic director of the New York City Ballet, Wendy Whalen, we had the same teacher growing up. So, there's also another fabulous dancer, Alex Clayton, who dances. He's a principal dancer with Paul Taylor, American Modern Dance.
Mhm.
Kentucky, it does produce some artists. If you get out and if you can really like make a way for yourself, it can happen. But in terms of starting in Kentucky, my family are New Yorkers. My mom and my dad are originally from here, and so they would always try and show us the culture. Bring us around. Like I remember the first dance show that I saw actually was the Bill T. Jones and Arnie Zane Dance Company, and I remember just thinking, I could do that. That looks like fun. Let me try that out. Yeah, and then next thing I knew, I was in these ballet classes at the University of Louisville Dance Academy, and it just clicked for me. I was like, this, I can do this.
And then from there, I mean, you go and dance in, you start ballet at 12 years old,
hmm Yes.
and you go to San Francisco at 16.
Yes, I moved to San Francisco completely on my own. A big step, I'll say. But when they offered me a full tuition, full merit, room and board scholarship to go and train in their year-round program, and I would have been a fool not to take it. That was without a doubt the best decision that I've made in my life because it brought me from a tiny, tiny studio to what is essentially like it is the oldest classical ballet company in America and one of the oldest schools as well. And so the technique, the training, the people, I had a Brazil. My first two roommates, one was from Brazil, the other one was from Paris. And me from coming from Kentucky, I was like, how did I get so lucky?
Yes, absolutely. And now I'm looking at Dance Theater of Harlem and other walking for fashion houses, if it's Dior, if it's for Cartier, if it's for complexions, if it's for I can keep going down the list, ballers, all of these innovative, amazing dance structure, taking the structure of dance and modernizing it and changing it in many ways. If people don't know about Les Trocaderos de Monte Carlo, I know I've seen the performances by this troupe before. On point, when was the decision made that you said, I would like to try to be on point? And what was the backlash, if there was any, from the school and from the instructors at that time?
Well, I think I wanted to dance on point from the beginning. When I started when I was 12, and that's around the age that all the girls in school would get their point shoes and start, like working through their feet. And I was like, okay, this person got theirs. This person got theirs. When do I get mine? I don't. What?
Yes.
Okay. And so I was always really fascinated by the beauty of point work, the delicacy of it, and um, the there are schools where men do train on point, but it's only for strengthening. It's never to actually perform. It's never to actually, be uh meant to be seen on stage unless it's for like a joke, unless it's for comedy or for like, you're in drag or an ugly stepsister in Cinderella. But I I there is a place for comedy and there is a place for, you know, that pure entertainment value of it. But for me, I was just like, I want to really do this. I want this to be my thing. I want to become so good that that you know you can't tell if I'm a guy, you can't tell if I'm a girl. You just see that I am a beautiful dancer, and you know that's what we strive for.
And you did, because if we go so, if in case you live under a rock or you're too busy watching, I don't know, the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and you don't know what's really going on out here in art and culture, which is a place for everything, Maxfield, you take on the magic flute at Lincoln Center, the most iconic building of art, probably arguably in this entire country, and you show up as a non-binary dancer and play a part that's traditionally not played, but is traditionally played by a woman. And did you expect the story that this was to become? Did you think you'd be on the cover of the New Yorker and front page of the New York Times, and that this was going to become a moment?
I didn't know what to expect. I just showed up. I showed up to do my work. I showed up to dance, and you know, when I auditioned for it I auditioned for the part back in May, and it was purely on a whim. I was like, my friend was like, "Oh yeah, no, the Met is doing auditions." I was like, "Oh, sure, I'll check it out. Why not?" And they said, "Bring your point shoes if you dance on point." And I was like, "Well, I do that, sure." And um, you know, immediately following, they were like, "Okay, they needed to reach out, see what my availability was." I didn't know that the role was going to be what it was at all. I didn't know that I didn't know it was possible, essentially, you know. And I got there, and then I remember that first day of rehearsal, I met everyone else. I mean, they're like, "Oh yeah, so you're the soloist. You are like the principal ballerina of this section." You know, the Magic Flute doesn't have the most dancing out of all of the operas that they do, but there is this one section where, you know, it's just you're transported into this fantasy land of like beautiful birds, and I got to come out, and the reception was amazing. I didn't expect it. I didn't know what would come, but I am it, I'm so grateful, truly.
Well, besides that, we'll talk more in a minute about the technique and the experience of it, but I would be remiss to say I'm 39 years old. I grew up as a queer boy in New Jersey, and I teach in real life, fifth grade here in New Jersey as well.
Oh
And I have
wow.
so many students, aside from this craziness and all my stuff, but something's got to pay my bills. So when I'm teaching, I've become like the out queer teacher. So all the kids that come and say, I think I'm non-binary, I think I'm trans, I think I'm queer, I think I'm gay, I think I'm a lesbian, and they come to me. Sometimes they have no representation. Sometimes there's the boy that wants to dance that isn't supported at home. Sometimes it's the girl that wants to play the baseball field, and sometimes people feel like they don't belong to either, or they're both, and they're confused. And what moves me, aside from your art form and the talent and the amazing work that you've put into your craft, is this representation is something that is so deep for so many people that and it sounds dramatic, but it saves lives and allows people to be seen and valued. And
Thank you.
every time you lace those shoes, and everyone that said a nasty word or a good word, or every time that foot hurt or you had to extra hard work at it, you are being a voice for everybody who has never had one. And that is such a noble and beautiful thing. So for everyone in this community, Maxfield, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I'm truly honored to do it. I get so many messages from my Instagram and from people who write into my email even saying, "Thank you so much. Thank you know for being this representation." And you know, I personally for me, I never thought it was going to be possible for me to be able to achieve what I am and do what I'm doing. You know, when I set out and as this non-binary figure within the ballet world, I thought that I would be affecting change for, you know, people who come like 5 years after me, 10 years after me, you know, but I didn't think that I would necessarily get to see the fruits of what it is that I am doing. And that was never, it's not that it wasn't the goal. It was just like, I had no idea what was possible. And for me to be able to see that, you know, the art world is opening up and making space for performers like me and so many others, um, it's really special, and I feel so deeply honored.
Well, that's the whole point of this little show. We did a version of the show during quarantine, and I dumped the partner because no shade to anyone on Broadway and that's working. We all want to work, but I was tired of talking to the cast of. There's so much art out there that represents all sorts of people. I'm sorry, but I don't need the cast of Mrs. Doubtfire for the fourth time. I want to talk to you. No shade, because there's so many other stories to be told, and I'm so happy that they're being told. Was you Black, queer, non-binary dancer is automatically a protest statement in society?
It's true. It's true. Bill T once said, any body standing on a stage is immediately a political act, just to be there affects change.
And you are. So was that always intentional? Were you always intentional to make this a part of the story, or was this something that was kind of put out there? Was there a moment where you said, am I going to be open about my own personal journey? Or how did this come about where you were like, I'm owning it, this is what it is?
Yeah, it happened back when I was Dancing with Complexions. It was my second season there. And I just remember, ballet, of course, is very gendered. And I got to come in sort of as I was playing one of the soloist characters in Stardust, which is the Complexions David Bowie tribute ballet. And, David Bowie is like known for being this androgynous icon, like complete like alien figure. And the role that I got to come in and dance was the Space Oddity, which is originally performed by Addison Ector, who is a fabulous dancer as well, dances on point. But it is an androgynous role where I get to take off my ballet flats and don the pointe shoes and come out as this oddity, this space creature. And that role really helped me to kind of it opened up the space, and and Desmond and Dwight both really opened up the space for me to be like, there's more to this story. There's more to who I am. And there's something that I haven't always felt comfortable saying. I wasn't sure, how best to like kind of put a pin on it. And it's not that I'm seeking to, because I don't want to sort of box myself into being like non-binary. It's not a third gender. It's a complete sort of like a rejection of gender altogether. And so I found my way through that, and it led me here.
And it led you here. So what is a dancer's life day like? How do you, after all of the accolades and all of the training, what is it like? Do you get into class? Do you stay into shape? Like what are the things that you do to make sure that you're ready to be booked and blessed and out there?
Absolutely. So, I mean, class is a daily. The lucky thing for like other artists is like, an actor, they can put down a script and, not act for 20 years. They can come back and be like, all right, sure, I'm in for a whole other set of roles. For me, I hit the step and then the step is gone. She's like, it happened. Unless I got a photo, unless I got a video, you always have to be ready to sort of, to bring it. And so, it's a lot of cross training. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of rest. I'm really trying to prioritize rest because, when you work with your body, there is the potential for injury. There's the potential for like all these little things that pop up. And so the most important thing that I can do is listen to my body and listen to what it is that I need. But, you got to keep working. You got to stay strong.
And I'm sure
stay ready. You don't have to get ready.
Preach. I know you have some things that you have probably down the pike that I'm sure you're going to surprise us with a whole bunch more of work that you are that's coming, because it's not like you're not going to be in demand. I'm sure that you will see Maxfield around, so make sure you see Maxfield when Maxfield is around. Before I let you go, though, I have a question. The construct of gender, you've played with gender, you've played with drag, you've played with all sorts of things. How does that fit into you and your art? Like, how does that when did that, you had a drag name, you had like, how did that fit into the whole story?
Yeah, so drag sort of she fit in like that other part sort of fit in as I was starting to dance as I was starting to dance on point and with the ballet Trocadero, the Trocs are it's a drag queen ballet company. So for me to get to enter this space of like people who have all had similar sort of journeys and similar sort of who never necessarily fit within like the confines of like the strict gendered system that was in place. There were all of these other girls like were giving shows. I performed at the Stonewall Inn like back in 2017, 2018. I can't remember. And then, like we did a takeover with my whole drag family, and that was fabulous. And so it always has kind of been a part of what I do. And, drag is the armor that you take into the world to, to truly affect change. And it's fun. It's enjoyable. It should be. And so, yeah, it's just another tool that I like to play with.
I love it. I love this toolbox, Maxfield. Open the
Mhm.
toolbox. Give us it all. Give us all the tools. Um,
Exactly.
well, if you want to find more information about Maxfield, you could go to their Instagram page, which is at It's Maxfield. And you can go to their Instagram page, and you have all sorts of other social media that you can just find them, and stay up to date. And looking at this resume and the people that you've worked with, I'm very excited. And again, thank you for sharing your time. Read more information about them. And if you have a child out there that wants to dance, no matter what gender, no matter what style, all we need is we all want to be loved, seen, heard, and accepted for who we are. Let them do it. Let them go out and dance.
Yes.
You're
Let the
such a
kids dance.
let the kids dance,
Let the kids
Maxfield
dance.
Haynes. Let the kids dance. You're such a pleasure, and I'm so inspired by your story. You're healing a lot of people. So thank you so much for being here
Thank
with
you so
us.
much. It's such a pleasure, Robert. Thank you.
Let the kids dance. Not me, but let the kids dance. My choreography days are over. That's why I gave up musical theater. Let the kids dance. Can you talk about more inspiring than Jay and Maxfield? Like dancing, drag, acting, awards, covers of magazines. I really like Maxfield, what he stands for. And he's sweet and fun. And I'm looking forward to seeing them dance on a lot of stages. See, I have to have a conversation about it. It's real. It's got to be a part of our vernacular, and I'm not perfect. And so thank you all for being so supportive and a great audience to let art live and people to live and feel seen and appreciated. Speaking of, yeah, they are extraordinary. I'm very honored. June 2nd, everyone, I am opening Pride at 54 Below in New York City, June 2nd at 9:30, a Friday night. And if you've ever seen my I Think He Knew music video, you know that the young Robert character does ballet in the outfield of maybe on June 2nd, Maxfield Haynes will be on stage with me doing a dance to my song. If you want tickets, you should go to 54below.com and get them before we announce all the guests, because we're going to have a party. Spoiler alert, you're going to want to be there. They are going to be there. We are all going to be there. Turn the page. We're turning the page. Moving on. Dance. Well, I'm not going to dance. They're going to dance, and it's going to be a moment. Be there June 2nd. All right. So then Derrick Jakolby Washington was here. Our good friends at the David Brown, which is a marketing PR team that I love out of Atlanta, Georgia. They wrote to me and they said, there's this guy, he wrote 2 books. One of them is about autism awareness in communities of color. And one of them is about police brutality and how to speak to kids and when getting pulled over. And I was really moved by Derrick Jakolby Washington's style and story. I needed to share this because sometimes we need the ability to talk to kids, but we don't have the means and the ability and the words and the language and the vocabulary. So take a peek at my buddy here, Derrick. Right, so during the day, you know that I am a teacher in a 5th grade classroom here in New Jersey. How many times do I say that in a show, by the way? Because it's torturous to watch these because they're taped. Yes, I teach 5th grade. but it's part of the story, right? So thank you for letting me just put that little you know me. I just had to share that. All right, back to the scheduled programming. When I see people that are sharing experiences and finding a way to talk to students and children, I am deeply moved. When I saw the author of these next two books, I knew that this was someone that I had to speak to. A lot of the times when things go on in this world, people go about their day. I look at it like the next day I face 82 10-year-olds and have to explain to them sometimes what's going on. And sometimes I don't have the words or means to do that. So Derrick Jakolby Washington is here, and I can't wait to talk to him about his two books and all the work that he's doing. I'm exhausted just reading about his schedule. Derrick, welcome, Derrick.
Thanks, Robert. I really appreciate the opportunity.
No, I heard about your books, and I am very moved by the idea of the world we live in, and explaining to children about the world we live in the most safe way and least scary way possible, and also about special ed. As somebody who is a teacher in a classroom that has 85 kids that deal with autism to all, across the board, I'm very moved by your work. How did you start becoming a writer? What made you decide that you wanted to write?
I love that question because I always tell people I don't have the traditional author's journey, and that I did not set out to become an author, let alone a children's book author. I sat down after George Floyd's senseless killing in 2020, actually that same night, and like everyone else, really trying to reconcile my emotions around that ordeal. And so begin to pen a poem. I also, during that time, began to consider life or what life would look like for my then 6-month-old nephew, who had been born in October the year prior, and what would life look like for him? Would it be a continuation of kind of what we're experiencing now, or will people really see him and value his greatness and all that he has to bring to the world? And so, like I said, just sat down and penned my thoughts, trying to reconcile my emotions. And then the next day, which was the 26th, I read the poem to my sister. And she said, "You absolutely need to turn this into a book." I still wasn't quite convinced, read it to a few friends, and they kind of confirmed what she said. And really the rest is history. Like, the book was illustrated, didn't know anything about publishing, didn't know anything about like how to contact an illustrator. But luckily things kind of fell into place, and the book was written, illustrated, published, and released within 30 days. So yeah, exactly. So I'm incredibly proud. It's like one of my most proudest moments, honestly, because as I mentioned, I did not set out to become an author, but in now writing my second book, which was released in October of last year, like, I feel so fulfilled in writing. Like, it is just an absolute joy. I've been afforded the opportunity to meet so many great people like yourself, and just, yeah, really just count it an honor to be used in this way.
Well, what we're talking about, we give it the shameless plug while we're here. It's called Son, You Matter, is the first book, which is out and available now. And then the second book, A Special Little Girl, was out, as he said, in October. If you would like to, while we're talking, grab these books, grab them wherever books are sold. They're available on your #1 selling author on Amazon. They're on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, across the board. Wherever you can get a book, grab a book and give them to the young or old people in your life to try to help explain. You know, what moved me, like I said, is that, take example, we do current events in my classroom every Friday. It's mandated by our state. You come in to have conversations just for this week, for example, when you talk about Michigan and shootings in Detroit, when there are issues that happen with police brutality across this country. I teach in a district that is all first-generation Americans. They're from South and Central America, and they come in with a lot of questions about the world. And sometimes I can't give the answer I want to, or it's an answer that I don't have. So I know, as a very aware of my color of my skin and privilege that I have, we don't see the life through the eyes of people who don't have this experience. Can you talk a little bit about the first book before we talk about your niece? The first book, we hear conversations about like having a talk, having to explain things to your children. Can you talk a little bit about what this experience that you wrote down, does it stem from some truth? Is there some, what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it absolutely stems from truth. So the book, as I mentioned, is written in response to George Floyd and his killing. But essentially, it is about a 7-year-old boy who, like most children, loves just life and so full of energy, but also loves chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream. So there's that real aspect of just what a child likes at that age. But he also adores his father. And so they have like a great relationship. And so at the beginning of the day, the father promises the son that they're going to stop for ice cream after school. And so this excites this young boy. And so much so that all throughout the day, he's thinking about that because he's getting chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream after school, right? And so after school ends, his father picks him up as normal. And on the way to the ice cream parlor, they actually are stopped by a police officer unjustly. And so I absolutely have lived through that experience, and I know how uncomfortable it is and how anxious it can make an individual. And so you referenced the talk that many people of color have to have, primarily Black people have to have with their children. And it is tough. It's never easy. I've had to have it with my niece, not yet my nephew. He doesn't quite understand it just yet, but I've had to have that discussion with my niece and even some children that I mentor. And it's not comfortable, as I mentioned. And so I'm hoping that this book will really be used as an opportunity to approach an uncomfortable subject in a warm and a more, I guess, relatable way. And so I've gotten various stories from parents as well as educators who've used my book as a springboard for conversation around these topics and various injustices that are happening in our society today.
Well, it's in my Amazon cart. We'll be sharing. We'll be reading it in my classroom for sure. I never, like I said, I was with a partner of mine, a friend of mine, and we got pulled over. He was a person of color. We got pulled over in Pennsylvania. I was so oblivious to this, and he put his hands up.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing? Because it didn't, this is years ago, it didn't register. And he was like, protecting myself. Yeah. There is such a different lens. And if we don't understand and hear people and the experiences of other people, we need to listen. I need to understand the situation. And we do too much talking and not enough listening, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm here to listen, and I would love to use your message and share it amongst my students. It is something that is very meaningful to me. I had a meeting today with some of my autistic students, case managers, etc. And the story behind your book broke my heart. The story behind the book, because I know what it's like. Autism is such it's something that has become very commonplace in classrooms, and the students are existing in schools, and there's a lot of stigma behind it. Can you tell us why this is personal to you and how the idea came for the book?
Absolutely. So I apologies in advance if I get emotional because it is a book written to my niece and all little girls that learn a little differently. Just to let them know that they are valued, seen, and loved. And so on a recent trip home to Florida, I live in the DC area, but I travel home quite frequently. And so went home to visit, which again wasn't out of the norm, and attended a gymnastics class with my niece. And this is not something that she's not done before. She's gone through this class on a number of different occasions. And typically the instructors there know her. My niece, by the way, again, was diagnosed with autism at the age of 4. She's 10 now. And so we went to the gymnastics class, and I literally watched the instructor award every student in that class with some sort of like certificate of achievement or reward, except my niece. And now, mind you, she may have needed just a little extra instruction, but again, this is not something that they're not familiar with. But she was able to complete every challenge that she was tasked to do, and just like everyone else. But I literally watched this, and it broke my heart. And now I'm a real uncle. I don't play that. This is my baby, and so yeah, we're not going to be doing that. not here. And so, but like I said, it really broke my heart. So much so that I stayed up the majority of that night, the rest of that night, like researching organizations. And so my niece is not fully able to articulate how she feels, right? And so she sometimes uses cartoons or various videos to kind of describe what she's feeling in that moment. And so what really like tore me to pieces was that she began to replay this cartoon over and over again. And essentially the cartoon said how bad it feels to kind of be left out. And apologies if you hear scratching, it's my dog.
No way.
But it essentially, it talks about how bad it feels to be left out of the crowd. And so I was literally like torn apart. And so, like I said, I stayed up the majority of that night researching autistic or organizations that support children and families that have been diagnosed with autism, primarily children of color. And there aren't many. And that really like shed some awareness to me, because now, mind you, this is my niece. My sister has to go through these things quite often, but this is really my first time like researching and really kind of getting aware of what services exist or the lack thereof. And so I was appalled by the disparities of services and then also the disparity of diagnosis amongst children of color. We're diagnosed much later in life than other children. And so so yeah, I began to look at organizations, but even more than that, like I said, I wanted to really affirm my niece and let her know that, listen, in spite of what anyone else says, your family has rallied behind you, around you. We love you, we support you, and we want you to know that you are incredibly special to us. When I tell you my niece has brought so much joy and just love and light to my family. She's an absolutely amazing little girl. And so I wanted to, again, just affirm her, and not just her, but children everywhere that again, learn a little differently and let them know, listen, you're seen. Don't worry about the noise or those things that will come to try to distract you. You are seen, you are valued, and you are loved.
So anyone, if these books speak to you or you know someone in your life, you can grab them right now. Son, You Matter and A Special Little Girl, wherever books are sold. We had a meeting today about a student of mine, and and he's diagnosed with autism. A year wait because they don't have health insurance to get tested. 6 months if they go to a private hospital to get tested and pay out of pocket. You're talking about something that is under-researched, underfunded, under-talked about in across the board. And you bringing light and sharing her story is something really, really special. A portion of the proceeds from the book go to autism research and providing resources for children diagnosed with autism within communities of color, which it was shocking to me to hear that people are waiting a year to get the medical attention they need for something like this. You're in the DC area. So Derrick, when are you running for office? I'm ready.
Yeah, I definitely don't have that in my future. I don't think I want to do that just yet. But I will say that I am launching a nonprofit actually in April called Friends of Zion. So my niece is Zion. And so it's named after her, but essentially it is an organization that focuses on identifying and providing resources for children of color and their families that have been diagnosed with autism or other neurological type disorders.
That's you're such an inspiration. Amazing. You can go to his website or you can go to follow him on Instagram as well. And I'm sure you'll keep up to speed on all of that's coming. You know, one of the mantras of this show is called Unfinished Business. It's about finishing something that you started and are scared to do. You had this idea and put it from beginning to end, the first book, in 30 days. So everyone out there who has something that they're scared to do or has an idea to do, what, Derrick, have you learned about just taking the first step forward and creating this path? How?
That is honestly, that is such an amazing question. I think that, yeah, it's just really stepping out and not being intimidated by, you know, what you see, or even being intimidated by your lack of perceived access or resources. Like I said, everything kind of like fell into place. I put a post on Facebook asking if anyone knows any illustrators, got several responses, reached out to an illustrator that's based in Charlotte. And she was amazing and like incredibly responsive. Had a friend that knew a publisher, and they were incredibly responsive and really eager to work with me. And so like everything just fell into place. But had I not been obedient and really just like willing to step out on kind of into the unknown, like none of these opportunities I don't think would have been afforded to me. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't think I would have gotten to meet so many great people. I work in human services. That's my background. I have a social work background. And so more so macro social work. And so developing organizations and systems and things of that nature. But so this is something that is totally, human services in general is totally near and dear to my heart. And it does afford me an opportunity to meet people. But like I said, I think had I not done this, got it done, as you said, had I not done it, I would not have had the opportunities that have been afforded to me. And so I'm incredibly grateful, and encourage your listeners and those that are watching to really, really just not be afraid to step out. I think that this is really the year, and I know we like to make those declarations and things at the beginning of the year. You set your goals and you put all these things on the vision board that you never get done. But listen, this is the year. Make it happen. Even if it's one thing, like get it done. Step out into what is perceived to be unknown and watch as opportunities and people and just watch as the universe unfolds to you. So yeah, just get it done.
I can't say it better than that. I totally take a step and the path will follow. I'm telling you, it's just taking that first step that's so scary. Mm-hmm. And then look, if you didn't put that post, if you didn't make that message, if you didn't come up with the idea and follow through, there's tons of people who are going to be helped and because of you had this idea. There's more information, the pictures of the book, Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, Target, wherever you get a book, grab a book, find it. And now you're on tour. You're literally like, where are you going? You don't even have time for us. It's Atlanta, Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts, Houston, Texas, LA, South Africa, France, Dubai. You're literally everywhere. What has it been like to take this book on the road and to meet people in person?
Yeah, it's been amazing. The response has been amazing. So that tour, the Black Authors Matter tour, kicked off actually this past weekend here, right here in DC. And it was just so absolutely amazing. There were tons of people. I was held at the Art DC, which is located in Southeast DC. And yeah, I made so many great connections. We sold out of all of our books. So that's super exciting. Anytime that you can say that you sold out of your books at an event, that is just such an amazing feeling, because it just kind of affirms like that the work that you're doing is relevant and needed. And so yeah, it was great. I'm really, really looking forward to Atlanta. We've got some great things happening there, just aside from the tour, just some opportunities to connect with some great people. I'm just elated at all of the things that are happening in my life, and just incredibly, incredibly grateful for the opportunity.
Derrick, you're a star. Everyone, he watch more books, watch all that he does to change the narrative and the conversation, and follow him on Instagram. Go to his website, even just for the fashion. You just dress down, Derrick.
Thank you, Robert.
Dress down on the gram. So go to the gram and go to the website, and everyone make sure you order your book. Congratulations on everything. I know that the best is yet to come, and you've only just started. So, it was really, really nice to talk to you, and the books and the ideas really moved me to put the cause and the message in writing for us all to use is such a gift. So thank you.
Thank you, Robert. I really appreciate the opportunity. It was great to chat with you as well.
You too. Thank you so much. What a show. We did it. 3 amazing guests J Harrison Ghee's knocking the boards on Broadway. Go see Some Like It Hot. Maxfield Haynes, they're brilliant. They're gorgeous. They're living their life in the most authentic way. There's nothing more amazing than that. And then Derrick Jakolby Washington. Make sure you get the books. Thank you all for being here. So great. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for listening, and thank you for showing love. Let's love one another. Let's accept one another. Some people today did a lot of really nice things. It's either for my mom, for me. I'm so blessed and lucky. So make sure you give that to somebody else. I'm going to definitely pay it forward. That I promise. Super talented guests tonight. They're making a difference, touching lives, and using art to spread love and positivity. Open mind and be kind to everybody. That's a real word, Christine. Thank you. Well, next week we trash it up with Rachel Fuda of the Real Housewives of New Jersey and gossip website mogul Jasmine Brand. One week we let everyone love, and then the next week we talk about them. Oh, let's all be nice to one another, right? Well, with love from me to each and every single one of you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much. There's more love than there is hate, and look for the love. Be the love. Till next week, I will see you all. Make sure to go to robertbannon.com if you want more information. Get your tickets to see me. There's events everywhere. I love you all for watching. Be good to one another. God bless you. See you again next week.